everyone, welcome to another week's video. Today I am super excited to share something new with you, something I found out and was super curious. I have learned about this brand of art supplies made in the Czech Republic. This is the brand, it's called Umton. And as you see here, I have a catalog in my hands. They have oil, gouache, watercolors, and painting mediums. And I am super curious to see how these paints behave. I actually found this brand just by pure accident. I was looking at the Instagram of an artist that I follow and that I have even a book of, which I might be sharing in a future video. I'm gonna leave her name here on the screen. And I saw her mentioning these paints because she's Czech, and she said she likes to use the local supplies, and I found them, I don't know, I love her painting, so I was curious to check, and I found out that they had a seller here in Ireland for this brand, which I was very happy about. So I checked their website, I contacted them, and I was able to get a few paints from them. They have currently on their website the gouache selection, and they just received the watercolors. They still haven't added them to the website, but I was able to purchase this from them with a custom order. So they sent me this catalog, which it's also very helpful. And here are the paints, and I'm going to be sharing those with you and swatching as usual. But before that, as usual, I'd like to thank everyone that has been following me here. I really appreciate. We are getting close to 2,000 followers, which I am stoked about. I never thought I would stick to YouTube for so long or have such lovely people commenting on my videos and interacting. I really appreciate. So I have plans to do some giveaways when we reach the number, so stay tuned. I have a few things I would like to share with my followers, and if you are watching this video and you like the content and haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing, because it really helps the channel to grow, to be seen by more people, and help me also to keep bringing you this type of content as well. Like the video if you like the video, of course, and yeah, all of the good stuff. Comment, I love reading your comments. And yeah, so let me share with you a bit of the catalog first. This they sent with my order. So here I have the oil colors, and these are artist grade materials. So we have all the pigment information, light fastness, and all of that. Still the oil colors. I don't use oil, so I was not very interested in this part. Here they have the gouache catalog, which has quite a good selection of colors. I only got 2 tubes of gouache to start with, and I was surprised by the size of them. I'm gonna show you. I haven't tried the paints yet. I have just opened the box to check if everything was correct for my order. And this is the watercolor catalog. Also quite a few colors here with all the pigment information, light fastness, all of that good stuff. And yeah, I'm gonna keep that with my other catalogs. I have catalogs for most of the brands I have materials of. Every time I go to the shop, if I see a catalog like this, I always grab one, or sometimes also with Jackson's. You can order a catalog. They have free catalogs you can get, and they're very useful for you to have it as a reference for pigments and whatnot. So that is that. Now, the shop I got this from here in Ireland is this one here. It's called Gouache Art, Craft, Office and School Supplies. This is a brand which is not widely available in the usual art supplies online stores. I'm gonna leave a link below here to the page where they have the information of all the resellers, so you can check if maybe you have one that is close to you or that you can contact with. Or I'm gonna leave also the link for Gouache online store, so you can check that as well. One thing I forgot to mention is that the website for this brand is in Czech, so you need to use the browser translator to find what you need. Now, I have here a page already prepared for my swatches with all the colors and the names and the pigments. I try to do something different this time. I will try to swatch the mass tone at the center of the circle and then dilute it at the borders to see how it looks for the watercolors. And then I have the two gouache over here. As I mentioned, I was shocked by the size of the gouache tube because I don't know, I didn't pay attention to the milliliters, and when I saw them, they are massive. They are really big. I'm gonna take one other gouache tube for a comparison so you can see. So this is a Winsor & Newton gouache tube for comparison. This is 14 milliliters. This is 35 milliliters. It's more than double the size, and the price was really good. So for this tube of 35 milliliters for these two colors, I paid €3.85 each tube, which is a really affordable price for gouache. And then they sell the watercolors in full pen format, and then for the full pen it goes depending on the series. So series 1 was around €3.35 if I'm not mistaken, and then the series 2 were like $3.65, so still really affordable prices. So I'm curious to see how they perform, and yeah, to share this with you here now. So I'm gonna now unwrap this and then I'll be back for swatching. So I finished wrapping them. They came wrapped with this aluminum foil type of sheet, and here you have the label with the pigment information. I don't see, apart from the pigment information, I see the light fastness rating, but I don't see other information such as if it's staining or if it's opaque. Neither is on the catalog. And one thing I noticed for one of the colors, this one, Naples Yellow Light, it has a different pigment information in the label and on the catalog. So in the catalog, this color has 3 pigments, PW4, PY43 and PY35, but on the label it has 4 pigments. So in the label we have PW5, PW6, PY35 and PY43, so it has 1 pigment more. I am going to write them and see if I can get an answer about this, and then when I'll be editing the video I'll put the information here on the screen for you. I wrote the names, pigment and the brand on the pen because there's no info, so that's usually what I do, not to get confused when you have similar colors like this. Another thing I noticed is that these pens, they seem to be what we call extruded rather than poured. For example, if you buy a pen from Roman Schmoll, sometimes you can even feel like there's the glassine on top, and sometimes even a bit sticky, because you can feel that this is paint that was poured liquid and let it dry and poured again and let it dry. The same, I think it happens for Schminke. But if you buy, for example, pens from Winsor & Newton, you'll notice that they all have this square shape. Some of them even fall out from the pen because these are made in a different way and then cut in pieces, in blocks, and then inserted into these plastic pans. So I have the impression that that's the case for this brand, because you see they are all also here you can see maybe at the top it comes a little bit out of the top, which sometimes happens also to the Winsor & Newton colors. So it doesn't look like something that has been poured in many layers anyway. My first impression, they look okay by judging like this. Some of them look pretty dry, mostly the gold ochre and the cobalt turquoise, has a bit of these textures like handmade watercolors made with mineral pigments. So we'll see how they wet. I'm going to add some drops of water to pre-wet, and while I let that soak a bit, I'm gonna talk about the colors that I got. So I have here two yellow tones. The first one is yellow nickel PY53, which some of you may know as rutile yellow from Schminke. Is a type of pale opaque yellow pigment. Then here I have the Naples Yellow Light, which is the one that I said there's some conflicting pigment information about. This is a convenience color. Then we have Gold Ochre, that is PY43, Burnt Yellow Ochre, that is PR102, Cadmium Purple, PR108, and then Cobalt Turquoise and Cobalt Blue Atlantic, both PB36. So let's start with this Nickel Yellow, PY53. Starting with mass tone first. Now let's see if it works what I thought of. I'm doing the diluted color around the mass tone. I feel the paints are a bit more on the drier side in comparison when I am... This looks like a fried egg, by the way. But yeah, when I'm using this pigment from Schminke, it's way more creamy. It feels more creamy. This one feels somehow drier. And it's also a bit different. Looks like the tone is slightly different from the Schminke PY53. I'll take it afterwards to do some little swatch here so you can see the difference. Now we have Naples Yellow Light. Yeah, I would say for these paints maybe they would benefit to being soaked pre-wet and let it sink in for a little bit, because they feel slightly drier than my other watercolors. And I just realized I swatched the wrong color in the wrong spot. I should have put the Naples Yellow over here, and here it's the cadmium purple, as you'll be able to read, but I'll see if I can fix that. Give me a second. I'm back. Crisis averted. The good news is that it's pretty easy to lift this Naples Yellow, so I was able to remove it and swatch it over here in its right spot. So now I can go and swatch the correct one over here. That's the cadmium purple. And I can tell you that now that the water has had time to soak in a little bit, they feel more creamy. these paints, so that's good. They are feeling really nice now on the paper, so they benefit, like I said, from pre-wetting. And although this is called cadmium purple, and this I knew already, it's actually a red pigment and a red color. And this pigment has a nice granulation as well. I have it from Sennelier. Now let me check which one is the next. This is the gold ochre. We move here so we can see. So now we have gold ochre. It's a nice ochre as well. Gold ochre is one of my favorite Winsor & Newton colors. I still have on my list of videos to do another one of my favorite series for Winsor & Newton. I have already videos about Sennelier and Schminke and Roman Schmoll. I am going to leave here a card for that playlist if you are interested, but I'll be making something soon for Winsor & Newton. And by the way, if there's any other brands you would like me to test that I haven't showed here yet, let me know. I'm always curious of trying new paints. This looks like it has a slight granulation, which is nice. Now we have burnt yellow ochre, PR102. It's a nice reddish tone, as I would expect for PR102. The last two, I got slightly confused. I thought I had made a mistake again. It's because I have the same colors in gouache as I have here in watercolor, but we carry on. We have the two blues now. One is the cobalt turquoise, PB36. Quite opaque. Supposed to have granulation, so we'll see. Like I said, there's no indication on the catalog or on the packaging about granulating colors, but I know that this pigment granulates, and it indeed is already granulate, and I love it. I think it's my favorite of the bunch so far, so I'm very curious to see the next one that is also PB36. It's Cobalt Blue Atlantic, and this reminds me a bit of Roman Schmoll Cobalt Cerulean, I think. I will correct myself when I'm editing if I got the name wrong. This is a darker version and it's very, very beautiful. Really love it. Beautiful granulation also. This one, I'm gonna just diluted a bit more here to encourage the granulation to show. Very nice. And now here comes the moment to try these big boys. I have here the Naples Yellow Light. The Gouache one has different pigments. This has PW4, PY3 and PY43. So let's see how is the gouache. I'm gonna put, it's a bit liquid out of the tube, so I'm not sure if there's binder separation. I'm gonna try mixing it a bit as usual. So even after mixing a little bit, I still find the consistency quite liquid for gouache, but I am curious to see how they dry actually. If I see shine, then that means it's some binder separation issue. I'm gonna try to cover this here to see. Yeah, it's not very opaque. And the other color I have is Gold Ochre. And this looks like it has binder issues. I can see already from the top of the tube, so I am going to mix it up a bit. Let's see. Just adding a little bit of water to make it easier to mix or to glide on the page. This one feels not as liquid as the other one. Let me see here if it's more opaque, but it's not really totally covering. I'll leave this to dry now, and then I'll be back with the close-ups. See you soon. So I'm back. The swatches are almost dry. I can definitely say there was a binder issue here because the swatch I painted after is already dry. This one still looks wet, and if I touch it, it's sticky. So there's some binder issues with this. Now I'm gonna show you a close-up. So you notice here I painted a little sample of Schmincke's Nickel Yellow, or Rutile Yellow, that is the same pigment, PY53. You notice that Schmincke's version is more opaque and more earthy than this one. This one is still a bit wet, but it looks brighter and not as pigmented, I should say. Then here I also swatched my Sennelier Cadmium Red Purple, and you can see it's pretty similar. The difference is that Sennelier tends a little bit more towards purple. This is a bit more red. What else? Here I swatched the Cobalt Cerulean from Roman Schmoll, and you can see indeed it's a pretty similar color, similar tone. And The granulation looks like got a bit more subtle as it dried. I need to use it more to see if in different paper it behaves differently or how it works. This one looks a bit more, but it's still not as pronounced as I had seen when it was drying, which is interesting because as it was wet, I could definitely see some texture and granulation, and when it dried it kind of evened out a little bit. Now about the gouache, I have to say I'm not super impressed. This one has issues like I mentioned, and this one I didn't manage to get a full opaque coverage. You can see a bit of my brush strokes over here, so it's okay. I think I like the watercolors more. I haven't tried many of their gouache, to be honest, but I think I really like the watercolors, and I think that if you have the chance to try these paints, it's a great price for such pigments. Like cobalts and cadmiums usually are in the more expensive range of prices for watercolors, and if you don't have access to Roman Schmoll, for example, you definitely could use one of these for this type of cobalts. These are very beautiful, and for sure I'll be using these. So I hope you liked. I hope it was interesting to you to also learn a little bit more about this brand. It's called Umton Barvy, which I'm sure I'm mispronouncing. But yeah, it was a discovery, a fun discovery for me. I hope it was for you too. If it was, remember to give me that thumbs up, and I'll see you soon. Bye!